What's good, everybody? It's Chan with Ann. We're here today with Lady Bree. We're about to do her interview, so stay tuned. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you born and raised from?
I'm born and raised in Staten Island, New York, straight up. East Shore, you know, Clifton, Rosebank, Park Hill area. Nice. You know, been around. I actually initially grew up in the St. George area, so literally across the street from Curtis High School. Nice. In the St. Mark's buildings, and then we moved over there, and I just kind of been Staten baby since I can remember. Nice.
And how was your upbringing, your family and everything like that?
Yeah, it was cool. It was vibes. My parents are extremely supportive, very, very focused on education, hence why I've always been really, really focused on education. Mm-hmm. Very supportive of me doing literally anything, and that goes from me dancing competitively to playing basketball, doing AAU, whether I've been, you know, getting into art, wanting to play instruments, whatever the case was. Just extremely supportive, extremely loving, caring, and really just instilled in me the belief that I could do anything that I decide I want to do. So that's just kind of been my movement and my energy since, once again, I can remember. And that's because that's all I know.
Yeah. I noticed that you went, like you say, you wear different hats from basketball to dance competitive. Yeah. When did you actually start taking music a little bit more serious, and what age?
So I had like my first, I guess, interaction with being a musician when I was like 5. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't rapping, but I was at a yacht party with my family. Mm-hmm. And there was this live band playing this song called Papa Was Rolling Stone by the Temptations. I love the Temptations, right? And myself being a 5-year-old who had watched the Temptations movie hundreds of times, I was singing this song off to the side. And so the lead singer saw me and he was like, "Who's this little girl singing this song?" Because who would expect a 5-year-old to know Motown, right? And then he gives me the mic, and I start singing. I know the whole song, know all the words, blah, blah, blah. And off that performance, they take me around the crowd, and I'm collecting money from people who want to, like, you know, whatever. I got my first Nintendo SP from that, okay? But, you know, that was really my first interaction with music. When it came to hip-hop, I always loved hip-hop. My mom, you know, and my dad were very much into rap, like, to put it in perspective, my mom's favorite rapper was Pac. My dad's favorite rapper was Biggie. So, you know, listening to them play music, you know, it wasn't just rap. It was a lot of different stuff, a lot of R&B, a lot of soul, a lot of old school, yada, yada. But I remember, you know, me learning the words to the song "The Show" by Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick. And that was like my favorite rap song. And learning that song, I was just like, it's fun. This is, you know, it's clever. The rhythm, it makes people want to dance. It makes me happy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, excuse me, Dougie. Excuse me, Dougie Fresh, you're on. And then, you know, I kind of just was like, oh, I could do that. I want to try that one day. And so randomly, when I was at summer camp at South Beach, you know, during cafeteria time or lunchtime or whatever, everybody, you know, the older kids would be banging on the tables, freestyle and stuff like that. Myself being 6 years old, or whatever the case is, I just decided to jump in. And it wasn't half bad. And they was rocking with me. So I kind of went from there. But as far as like taking it seriously, I can't really say I've taken it seriously up until, honestly, 2021, right? Because I've been doing music since, you know, I was about 5, 6. Had my first studio session when I was 10 with my my birthday money for my 10th birthday party, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the studio. Did a few things around there. I was with a group for a while, and then got into high school. You also have to recognize that, like, ball was life. You feel me? So I'm in middle school, I'm going into high school, ball was life, but I still always wanted to do music. It just was that music wasn't the thing taking off, or it wasn't just the thing that I was to focus on. Had other things going on in life. So, you know, I always did music, but as far as taking it seriously, I would say I started taking it seriously as something that I wanted to make a career out of, and something that I wanted to make my sole career back in 2021. You know, 2020 came around, I graduated college, and I was like, I done did what I was supposed to do. Let's get to it, you know? And, you know, having a job kind of helped being able to fund all of this, because being an artist is not cheap. Studio time costs, videos cost, you know, photo shoots cost, going to places and performing costs, building, you know, an audience and promoting your stuff, it costs money. So once I started to have a certain level of capital to be able to invest in myself and do things that I've always wanted to, it became something that became real for me. And I've just been head down, grinding it out ever since I met Loco prior to 2021. But, you know, when he met me, I was like a junior in college. And so my focus was college. But, you know, we linked up again in 2021. And while I was like in the first half of the year, I was kind of like figuring stuff out by myself. Second half, you know, we linked up again, and he kind of like, you know, took me under his wing and was just like, let's see what the vibes are, see how serious you are. And then kind of after about 5-6 months of me just doing anything and everything he said he wanted us to do, or popping out to whatever events, you know, he wanted us at, you know, he was just like, all right, let's do it. And so he's been managing me ever since.
That's fire. And I noticed that people who don't know Mike Loco, his son Mix 718.
Mike,
yeah,
Mix, come on.
He was the one who put me on all of you guys, and I was just like, oh, I really got tapped in. He literally showed you love. How did you guys all meet and come in together and like you guys were able to connect right away, or did it take you a while?
Yeah, it was honestly like energy and, you know, just being genuine people. You know what I mean? We met on a random night in 2018 at a performance. And one of Loco's artists at the time was on the bill, and I was on the bill as well, but we were all from Staten, and we were talking about that. But he had seen me prior to that, like at a cypher I pulled up to for Projectivity. If you guys know what Projectivity is, it is a, you know, very community-based arts organization group. That's a nonprofit here on Staten Island, and I've been associated with them since high school, just volunteering and helping out and stuff. But I was at a cypher, and Loco saw me. I think Miggs was there, and he thought I was dope. So he saw me there, and then next time I think we saw each other again was at that show, and I performed and his artist performed, and we hit it off. And he ended up taking me home that night because my parents, you know, dipped out early because they're older. And I was just like, no, I'm gonna just either drive or I'm gonna take a public transport. He was like, nah, I got you. And so when we all linked up that night, we just kind of chopped it up, and the energy was right. And I just could tell that he was somebody that knew a lot about the music industry, and he was somebody that genuinely cared and wanted to help. And then I'm pretty sure that around that time he was hosting, or he was putting together a New Year's event, like a huge hip hop event, and I pulled up to that and I saw what he was doing. He does things right, straight up. And I saw the vision. I saw like how serious, like he was taking it as serious, that he was taking it as serious then that I wanted to take it. But I just couldn't, because I was away at school. I didn't have the time or the funds or the capacity to just do it the way I wanted to do it. And so when we connected back in 2021, I was like, I'm ready, let's go, you know. But it just, you know, we all just connected just based on loving music, understanding that this is not something that we can expect to happen overnight. And just locking in and recognizing that, like, nobody can do this by themselves. Like, it took me a good minute to recognize that, you know, if I really wanted to get somewhere in the music industry or be successful as an artist, I wasn't gonna be able to do it alone. I had been so used to doing it alone and essentially by myself, because not to say that my family wasn't supportive, of course they are, but they don't know the music industry. Of course. They don't necessarily know what it means to, you know, why it costs this much to do that, or why I need to be doing this, or why this matters, or why that matters. And plus they have their own lives and stuff to maintain. So I kind of like took on the responsibility of doing everything for myself as an artist. And so that was just my norm and my regular and what I was used to. And then when you learn and you see more, you recognize that anybody who ends up being successful in the music industry has some sort of team around them. And not just family, but people that genuinely understand the music industry or are trying to learn about the music industry and are working to do things to further elevate and further someone's career. And that can simply just mean going out to events and telling people who the hell you are. Yeah. You know? So we just connected on, you know, wanting to get after it. Like, that's really the, you know, the love for each other and the love for this and the willingness to know that this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when and how much work we going to put in.
As you said, as you mentioned, you started taking it more serious in 2020. I started in 2016. You were actually doing like performance and all that. Yeah. How do you feel like it shifted from looking back then in 2016 and doing it on all independently and then getting into a team? Did you see how it shifted quickly?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, back 2016, 2017, and even 2018 when I dropped my EP, I was in college. Mind you, I was in college in South Bend, Indiana. It was really not too much for me in South Bend, Indiana, in regards to music. Like, the resources were very scarce. Like, the closest big city to South Bend is Chicago, and it's like 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just unfortunately, based on my circumstances, I was put on a kind of forced semi-hiatus.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So doing it in 2016, I was just working with what I could do. So at that point in time, it's just like, I'm on campus. So what's going on campus that I could get into? So that, that sparked me doing performances at my school, at my at the club that we had, and that turned into opening up for people like Rory, Bryce Vine, randomly performing with Majid Jordan, performing with people like Todd Rundgren, just different little things that I can put under my belt and say I did, but, wasn't doing it to the level that I'm doing things now. I would say that also just, it's good to have more than one brain, right? I've recognized that one of the things that I loved most about basketball was the fact that it was a team sport. I used to run track. Track was fun. I ran track, and so I would run sprint. I would do like the 100, 200 sprints straight up, short distances. 100, 200s, maybe a 400, and then I would do relays. That was like the most, or long jump and then relays, but that was like the most team kind of competition I would do when it came to track. But I genuinely just like gravitated more towards basketball because I genuinely loved the concept and the dynamic of working with other people to make something happen. I truly believe in the concept that 5 fingers make a fist is stronger than 1 finger. It's something my coach used to say, but I truly believe in that. You're gonna make more impact with a fist than you're gonna make with a finger. Yeah. That's just physics. You know what I mean? But I think understanding that you have multiple people to support you, multiple people to give you advice, multiple people to be honest with you about ways you should be moving and how you should be spending, or certain ways to think about it. It's extremely helpful because being someone like myself, and Loco will tell you, I do a lot of different stuff. I'm not just an artist. You know what I mean? Like I do the corporate thing, and I work in business, and then of course I do my entrepreneur stuff, and of course I deal with my family and take care and be the eldest daughter, and if you know, right? But being in music, to me it's been a great transition to recognizing that I can love music the same way I love basketball. In the terms of having a team and having support and knowing that yes, it may be me, it's me and it's my music, and at the end of the day I have the last say. But when it comes down to it, if I am not sure on something, or I'm trying to figure out what the next move is, or if I don't know if I should drop this song versus that song, or if I should go with this marketing company versus that marketing company, or whatever different decisions or situations may arise, knowing that it's not just me. Yeah. It's not just me having to figure this out and putting all the stress on me, because it can get heavy. Like, a lot of people don't think about it. Like, being an artist, especially if you're an independent artist that genuinely cares about your shit and cares about the business of it, it's a lot to think about. So having a team, having somebody that's willing to look out for you and say, let's do this. And then, if it's really good. It's really important to have a good dynamic with anybody who manages you or anybody on your team, because you're not going to always agree on everything. Yeah. But to be able to have that discourse and then figure out what works, is how you run a business. Is how you become a CEO. A lot of artists don't see themselves as business people. A lot of artists don't see themselves as CEOs. But if you understand how the music, business model works, you gotta see it that way, because when somebody signs you, they're looking at you to produce a product. You are now a producer of literally a macro company in yourself. Yeah. You're your own brand. You're your own, creator of or production system of whatever content they want you to put out. And so you gotta be able to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're not doing, and then make sure you have the necessary people in place to make sure that you're doing the right thing and that you're executing.
And what do you think was the hardest thing being an independent artist before you started working with MLM Entertainment?
Before working with MLM, it was a lot of that I didn't know that I didn't know. right? A lot of it was me recognizing that there was a lot to do and doing what I could by myself, for myself. So when I say that, I mean, you know, when you release a song, me and Loco have this conversation, but a lot of people say, oh, you don't need a press release anymore, or it's not that important, blah, 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 blah. I learned how to write my own press release. I've written my own press releases. You know what I'm saying? I've, you know, gone through the process of, you know, putting together my own shows, or, you know, making my own contacts, or doing this by myself, doing this by myself, doing that by myself, finding out information for myself, and, you know, kind of learning and developing different skills to do things for myself by myself. But when you have a team like MLM, when you have somebody like Mike Loco that's, you know, willing to make a call and say, hey, can you do this for me? I'm able to do this for you. Work with me and my artists to take you to that next level. It creates a completely different dynamic, in that now you're no longer focused on having to be the boss, or the, you know, the coordinator of everything. You can focus a little bit more on being the artist.
Yeah.
You know, as an independent artist, you don't really get the full luxury of just being an artist. That's just, you know, that's just not the reality of being an independent artist. If you want that, then you sign to a major, and that comes with a whole different, you know, level of give and take of what you decide to give in order to have that level of not having to be anything other than an artist. But I like being an independent artist. I like being able to say that this is how it's going to go, this is how it's not going to go, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm not going to do. Will that change? Who knows? I think everything is situational. I think it's just a matter of understanding what it is you want. But right now, what I want, and, you know, the way my team is set up, and the way my team has faith in me and I have faith in them, I'm good. You know, I think we just building up momentum to do what we need to do, and whatever comes our way, we'll deal with it as it comes.
So, as you mentioned, I noticed that in 2016, you dropped one of your first single called "Got You," and you was pretty much trying to get in contact with someone in person and explain to them over the phone, like, you know, you always hold it down, not gonna switch up on you. What was going on during that time, if you don't mind sharing?
It was just, you know, I was a senior in high school, and I wrote that song in a space of recognizing that I was leaving Staten Island. And there was a lot of me also during that time realizing what my real friendships were, or who my real friends were. And then also just kind of reflecting on my life in general, and recognizing the different friends that I had, and the different levels of friendship that I had experienced in my life. So Got You came from a space of just recognizing that, like, if you gonna hold it down for me, I'm gonna hold it down for you, and we locked in. If you ain't never changed on me, no, I got you. You ain't never switched on me, no, I got you. No, I got you. And it was just like, I still keep that energy. You know what I mean? Like, even if me and somebody will fall out, you know, because people outgrow each other. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're no longer on the same path. You're no longer aligned, and there's no issue with that. It's not beef. But at the end of the day, it's like, if it's still love, it's still love. And as long as you ain't ever crossed me or do nothing to harm me or anybody I care about, I got you.
I hear him down. And then later on, in 2018, you dropped Bruce Wayne. And that one was a whole different type of sound that you had from there.
Definitely.
What were you talking about during that song as well, during that time? Because that's a whole different...
It was a lot of energy put towards just coming into myself and who I saw myself as, or becoming, during that time, right? So talking a lot of ish, just, you know, oozing confidence. A lot of my music, you know, kind of anchors itself on being confident, because I want to give people a segue to have that for themselves. I feel like what you listen to has an impact on how you see yourself or how you view yourself. Energy is everything. So writing Bruce Wayne was a lot of that, but when I got to the end of the song, I really decided to kind of wrap up the narrative, and, you know, in the outro, and kind of pointing out the whole concept of the storyline, or the thought of the character of Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. And, you know, one of my favorite movies ever is The Dark Knight, right? So the outro pretty much speaks to, like, nobody really knows what it's like to be you, or what it's like to be me. I quite literally say they don't know what it's like to be me. And I feel like that often, even now. A lot of people don't know what it's like to be me. And a lot of stuff can get stressful. A lot of stuff can get scary. But me personally, you deal with it. You go through, you get through what you go through. In order to say, I've done that and I know how to handle it and I know how to handle things similar or different. I truly have come to believe and have experienced parts and points in my life where the tunnel is long. You're in a tunnel and it's long and you see the light. It's just like, we just got to keep going till we get there. You know what I mean? And it can get rough, but it's like, at the end of the day, if you're somebody like me who's ambitious and truly believes that they were put on this earth to do something or be successful, or, who has if we're being very honest here, has a certain fear of being mediocre in life, you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? And so the end of the song, because everybody wants to be a hero. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everybody, in some way, shape, or form, whether it be you want to be a billionaire, whether it be you want to just be the best mom you can be, you want to be the best, I don't know, plumber you can be, you want to be the best teacher you can be. Like, at the end of the day, in some way, shape, or form, whether you admit it or not, subconsciously, you want to be a hero in some kind of way. Yeah. And so they may not understand what that struggle is like. They may not understand what the process is to become that, and it may get scary, and you may not know how you're gonna get through it, but you fight and get through it, because you want to reach that point. You want to get to that level where you can look in the mirror and say, I did that shit.
Yeah. And what is one goal that you wish people saw that you did more? Like, because you did a lot of things, from being on documentaries, going to Tokyo, and all that type of things.
I think I've become more vocal about this recently, but one of my goals that I don't think a lot of people know I have, but is extremely important to me and what I feel is my calling, is to put people in a position to exceed and live a life based off of their talents. I come across a lot of talented people, in regard to artists, in regard to photographers, in regard to producers, in regard to chefs, right? Like, side note, I have like a little goal to have a restaurant one day and, find this awesome chef who we build and, but one of our biggest goals is to put people in position to win. You know what I mean? Like, this music stuff is not just about me, and it's not about me just being a star and being on a stage and rocking the crowds. Love that. That is a goal. Don't get me wrong. But, one of the goals that, are truly a part of my being and what I think my purpose is in this life is to recognize that there are people out there with an insane amount of talent that may not have the resources, that may not have the same opportunities I've had or have the same support that I've had. And if I can be someone that can use whatever success or status or reputation that I've developed for myself to open doors for them and to help them develop and become the best version of whatever it is they want to be with that talent that they can be, that's what I want to do, And I feel like you can't pull people up from the dirt if you're still in the dirt. So you got to put the work in for yourself, get yourself, out the dirt so you can get people out the mud. Yeah,
one of my favorite songs by it's a freestyle, but it was my favorite one, honestly, from the flow to the beat and everything, was I Like Freestyle. What was the biggest struggle you think you faced throughout the journey, and how'd you overcome it? Because I felt like that's what he was talking about in the song. Yeah. Or explain to me, what was the song about for you?
100%. I think it was just a matter of me speaking in the context of recognizing that there were probably a lot of people that were sleeping on me, or not taking me seriously or not paying attention. And there's still people like that now. But I think back then, because I dropped that song in 2020. So I wrote that song in 2020. I recorded that song in 2020. We were in COVID. So you in your room by yourself. Recorded that in my room by myself, hot as hell with the AC off on the second floor of my house. Heat rises, okay? I'm saying all of this to say the energy of that song was truly based in letting people know that I'm coming. You know what I mean? I'm coming. I'm growing. I'm developing. And I got something to say. If I told you I trust you, I can't. I lied. Still a mantra. Still a mantra. But I think it's a matter of, just being vigilant. You know what I mean? I trust people. Don't get me wrong. Everybody, who doesn't over-exaggerate in their music, okay? But I trust people. It's just, I'm big on energy. So as much as I can trust you, I feel shifts. I feel when things aren't right. I feel when I don't feel right. So as much as I may trust you, I'm gonna always trust my intuition more. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was really the hook, but like the verses, you heard it. I'm letting people know what's up. I'm letting people know that I'm coming hard, I'm growing, I'm not gonna stay who you think I am or who you think I've been, and I'm gonna talk my shit in the process.
Yeah, I feel like that was the song that just needed to be heard out there, because I had that on replay. I'm not gonna hold you. I was like, oh shit.
Come on now, gag is. I was like, I often kind of steer away from doing drill type records, because I don't consider myself a drill rapper, right? I know it's the sound in New York right now, and don't get me wrong, it hits. It's grown, it's evolved. If I'm being fully transparent, I didn't expect it to get as far as it did right now. But this was also prior to me hearing Pop Smoke. Okay. So, things change. But I think drill as a genre has so many different lanes that it can get into. And I think we're just seeing the beginning of New York kind of experimenting with that. One thing I've always appreciated about people that listen to my drill-esque records is that they've always pointed out to me that I don't do it like typical drill is done. Yeah. I don't use this necessarily same flows, cadences, even energy. And I don't want to, because that's not Brie. You know what I mean? Everything I'm gonna do, whether it be, a drill record, a house record, a pop record, an R&B record, it's gonna always have elements of Brie because I wrote it or I'm performing it. It's my energy. I'm really, really big on that. So, I
noticed that how you mentioned it, you do a little bit of drill, but it's not really drill, which was from your just newest song that you dropped, Life and Die. And I was asking my girl, it's like, yo, is this drill? What do you think this is? I'm like,
soul drill is what we call it. Soul drill.
I don't know what it is. And so how did that song come into play? Because that's just now you.
Absolutely. I found the beat and I was like, yo, this beat is so crazy. When I first heard it, I heard the sample and I was like, this sounds like elevator music, or it sounds like the music you would listen to while you're on hold waiting for customer service. And I had the beginnings of a verse somewhere, and sometimes that's how I'll start songs. I'll have sometimes I'll get a little flicker of inspiration, and then I'll just write a quick 4 to 8 bars and just keep it and just be like, oh, see what that turns into. And that's kind of what happened there. And I kind of just ran with it. I ran with the bars and just kind of dragged it into a space of making it about me being on the phone with someone while I'm at work. So when I recorded that song, I was quite literally visualizing what the video would look like, and we're shooting the video soon. So just know, okay, it's gonna be really dope to see my vision come to life. But I literally went into that session and recorded that song with the full movie in my mind of me sitting in an office somewhere talking to my best friend while I'm at work, talking about how I hate this job and all I do is sit and answer phones all day. That is not what I do for my real job. I work with reports and a bunch of other boring stuff that if you didn't work in business, you would find extremely unimportant. But, it came about where it's just like, I feel like it was fun. It was different. I'm saying a lot in that song. If you listen to what I'm talking about, I get a lot of my points across, or a lot of how I feel about things going on in my life and in the world in very clever ways. where it may or may not go over your head. My tone may make it sound like one thing, but I'm talking about a whole different thing. Yeah. But that song overall was just a little test in seeing just how fun I could make drill, and not in the Jersey club fun kind of way, not in the, oh, I need you to shake your hips, because that's the vibe right now. I'm loving that. But I mean in the way of just like, if you just rocking in your car, and you throwing it on, it's just like, can you, hey, and it's nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? It's also something I feel like is palatable for older people that don't listen to drill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, you always throw your little sound into it. Another song that I saw that I enjoyed was Groovin', and it was a poppin' R&B type of rap. So you were rapping to the song, was able to show that you were able to jump into different sounds. Like that's what you usually do. Was this one of your first poppin' R&B songs that you were doing? Is there more coming like this too?
Yes. So I can never discount the fact that I did a song called Born Winner back in 2021, which was like my first real melodic rap song, right? So that was kind of a precursor to me getting into a space to where I would start singing a bit more on my records. But during 2021, during that entire year, I decided to take a singing lesson course virtually, right? So it was like every week I would take the class and do like these different exercises, learn these different things, blah, 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 blah. And I just started to get a bit more confident in my voice and in my vocals and in my ability to sing in certain ways. And so when 2022 came around, I was like, you know, I want to let people know that I can do more than what they know me for. You know, I want to do more than, I'm a spitter. And if you know me, you know that I started off as a spitter. I was in ciphers, youngest one in the cipher around all dudes. It was just New York and how I grew up. But I'm an artist. I'm a true musician. I'm a true lover of music, and I'm truly inspired by all kinds of music. One of the types of music that I'm most inspired by is R&B. 90s R&B, early 2000s R&B, of course, 80s R&B, 70s R&B. Like, these are all things that I've listened to growing up by way of my grandparents, my parents, myself, just digging in crates and figuring out what it is that I like and didn't like. And I wanted to push my pen in such a way that reflected how much I loved that kind of music. It's very easy to do what's comfortable when you're an artist. It's very easy to hear a beat and say, oh, this is how fast this beat's going. This is the 2 and the 4. This is how the bars will be structured. Okay, let me write this flow. Let me get these bars off. It's another thing to say, I'm not going to rap. I'm not going to write in a way that I would typically write to rap. So now you're thinking about ways of, especially if you're not classically trained in music, it can be a little difficult, but you just really got to trust in your ear and in your knowledge of what good music is, and say, no, I'm going to write it like this, and I'm going to sing it like this, and this sounds good, so I'm going to trust it. It's a lot of trust in your ear and a lot of trust in your gut, and trust in that, make what you want to make. For a very long time, I spent my energy making music that I thought other people wanted to hear. And a lot of what I thought people wanted to hear from me was what everybody else was doing. It's like, oh, this person is getting famous or going viral because they're making this type of music, or this type of music seems to be very popular and resonating well with the people. And it's like, when you get into that space, you very much lose yourself and lose who you are as an artist. Once I got into the space of starting to make music that I wanted to make and that I could be a fan of, it became much easier to figure out the people that were my audience. Who are the people that actually want to listen to my music? What actually sounds good for me? What are the pockets that I fall into mostly? And if that's my pocket, what do I need to do to switch it up sometimes? Right? But writing Groovin' is definitely something I'm extremely proud of as like my first pop record. And there's definitely more coming. I'm continuously pushing my pen and pushing the envelope and challenging myself to make different types of music. So I won't just be staying with R&B and pop and stuff like that. Like, I love all types of stuff. So really, it's just a matter of what I'm inspired by. So you might hear some acoustic stuff from me. You might hear some house stuff from me. You might hear some funk stuff from me. Like, I love music, and I love people that love music. And so the people that I'm around that love music, they know how to make different types of music. Yeah. So we're gonna have a good time figuring out, you know, what we can create.
I actually got to see 2 music videos that I saw from back to back was Like This and as well Rep It. Yeah. And Rep It was more, I felt like it was a tribute to your old basketball days playing it. So looking back into old films and everything like that and seeing that you went from basketball to music now, like, and you're recording it in the court. How was that vision coming into life? Like, how do you see that?
So Rep overall was just, you know, one of those songs that I wanted to make very anthemic. You know, I wanted to give something to the athletes and the teams that were coming out during warm-ups and doing their layup lines. I know what that's like, man. I know what it's like when you're with your team trying to figure out what song y'all gonna come out to when y'all doing y'all layup line and scare the other team and let them know you mean business, right? Rep also kind of touches on a lot of my ambition in this life and a lot of my the struggles that come with the ambition, in that, you know, none of this is easy. Being ambitious doesn't just mean that everything is about being successful and achieving all of your goals. There are a lot of goals that I didn't achieve. There are a lot of things that I wish I was able to do and accomplish. I've done a lot and I've accomplished a lot. There's a lot that I still want to accomplish. But, you know, when it gets rough and you're just like, dang, I didn't get to do that. Dang, I didn't hit that mark. You know what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, you got to remember who you're doing it for. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to remember what you rep, who you rep. You come from somewhere. Yeah. You come from somebody. You don't just move in this space, in this world rather just a lone wolf. And a lot of people do, but if you look deeper, there's a reason why they're a lone wolf. And they come from something. And so for me, it's Rep was about pointing out that I'm ambitious, I'm successful, and I'm going hard. And a lot of this is based on the fact that my drive comes from the fact that I rep my family. I rep Staten Island. I rep my friends. I rep the people that have committed to supporting me, you know? And there's really no going back to that. I'm one of those people that I find myself very motivated when there are a lot of people counting on me. Like, obligation is a huge motivator for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I would attribute that to me being somebody who had been on basketball teams their entire life. So when you go to practice every day, right? Or when you have to be at practice every day because everybody's going to be at practice every day. And if you don't go to practice, chances are you're going to miss learning a play or miss conditioning. And now when you get in the court, you're not conditioned. The team looking at you like, yo, what's up? Like, we need you. Yeah. You know? So Rep was Rep is actually probably one of my favorite songs from a writing perspective because, once again, I wrote about a lot of real stuff that I had experienced and thought about and had to process and put it out into the world. So, you know, if you listen to those lyrics, you'll hear a lot about what my experience was like in college, what the thoughts that go on in my head are, and even things that, you know, I'm using now to push myself forward and to achieve what I'm looking to achieve in the future.
That's nice. And from your other music video you did was with
Like This.
Yeah. And that had Mix in the background.
Yeah, Gang was there. Gang was there.
Opening the door.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was more of a party team.
Absolutely. It was shot on my birthday, okay? Nice, okay. It was like the video shoot was it's a video shoot / birthday party that I had on my birthday. And that was just the vibes. Like, I'm not one of those people that, you know, I don't need to be in a club surrounded by hundreds of people to feel like I'm important or I'm loved or people fuck with me. I'm not one of those people. Like, we can do that. Don't get me wrong. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna say no, but the real of it is that I truly appreciate and value genuine people around me, genuine people that appreciate me the way I appreciate them. And so like this was definitely a party vibe. It was definitely us having fun and us just being organic and, you know, being happy. I think a lot of times, especially now with videos, I don't think there's a lot of videos that actively showcase people being happy.
I hear you on that one.
You feel what I'm saying? Like people, you know, people being happy and being fun is not corny, bro. Like it's not. Like there's something to say about seeing other people being happy, making you happy. You know, like I think everything has its purpose. Every song has its purpose. I think that the only way that I could shoot that video was for it to be something that was reflective of me having the fun the way I would have fun, which is me hanging with my friends, dancing around, maybe drinking, maybe smoking, maybe catching a vibe, maybe just us rocking around, goofing off, whatever the case was. Like, you know, the song is very much that. The song is very, you know, upbeat, fun, boastful, confident, light, all these different things. Once again, I'm saying a lot in that song. But, you know, the overall energy is something that's reflective of one of the facets of who Lady Bree is. Yeah. Like, and in the same vein that I can be very serious and, you know, business minded and focused and logical, I can be the same person and still be a goofball and having a good time and dancing and, you know, doing whatever. You know, there's layers to the kid, man. There's layers. And so when I make music, I can't hide any of those layers. I think it's one of the best things about making music for me is to be able to, you know, piece by piece reveal layers to people and then give visuals that kind of encapsulate what those layers are. Like, who doesn't like cake? Come on.
I hear you. And so if we look back from your first EP, where it's Only Everything, and it consists of 6 songs, and my top 3 songs from that was Lift Off, Thursday Night Waves, and Still Pray. Ooh. What can you see from those songs and to now, like, for your next EP? Do you feel like it's going to be a different viewpoint of what you had in the beginning?
Yes, I was literally just thinking about what I would do if I was putting together a new EP. But back to Only Everything, I'm happy you like Lift Off. Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Wow.
That was a good one.
That's dope. Lift Off, if you haven't listened to Only Everything, Lift Off is the intro song to the EP. And a lot of it was speaking to a lot of what I had experienced just in life up to that point, whether it had been in high school or even in college. When it comes to different relationships with people and noticing that a lot of times people can be very opportunistic about the role you play in their life, right? And I'm not saying that, you know, we don't all do that in some way, shape, or form, because, of course, we all have our own lives and we all have our own goals, and you should really, you know, make an effort or make it a priority to ensure that the people and the things that you have in your life are aligning with what and who you want to be. But I think there's something to say about being someone that has their own goals and is, you know, actively working on them, but also being someone that takes the time to care about what everybody else has going on. Mm-hmm. You know, I said this recently. I said, as someone that people often count on or people often look to for support and care and understanding and compassion and all these different things, the people that I can count on are extremely, extremely important to me. Because I'm one of those people that are very quick to say, forget it, I got it. Mm-hmm. In general, I don't like to ask people for things. In general, I don't like to feel like I'm inconveniencing people. I've gotten a lot better with that, in regards to understanding that it's okay to need help. It's okay to need support. And if you have people that are actively saying that they're there for you, if you need that support, then it's important to actually act on that and not feel like you have the whole world on your shoulders. But Lift Off was definitely one of those songs where I was just letting people know that, like, I'm back and I got a lot to say. I got a lot to give, and I had some angst in there. I had some angst in there, so that's always fun. Very real bars. Thursday Night Waves is a great song for you to like because the night that was made, I made that in college. Okay. Like quite literally while I was in college, it was around my birthday. I think it was like 29. Yeah, it was 2019. Yeah, it was before I went to Tokyo. And I was off campus at my friend's house. He was a producer. And my best friend and I went over there and we were just chilling. And he was like, yo, let's cook up, yada, yada, yada. And he was cooking up and one of my other homies who made music was there. He started playing a beat and I just started spitting to it. And I was like, okay, let me record it. Mm-hmm. And I started going, I'm the motherfucking man I know. Like boat harm, running up the bands I know. What I want, you just doing what you can I know. Run my city like I'm Brian in the land I know. Skirt, skirt, when I pull up in the lamb I know, right? I started doing all that and everybody's like, oh, we're all in his bedroom, okay? Like it's like 6, 7 of us in his bedroom recording right now. And one of my homies from college who's like, big personality pulls up and he comes in, he's like, yo Bree, what you doing? And I'm like, the hook comes and I come up with the hook and I'm like, pull up with the Vogues, I'll be rolling, money on my mind, and I'm singing it and I was like, this is dope, but it could use layers. So I have the homie that's an actual singer get on it and sing like a harmony to it to add a layer to it, and then I have the homie who's the big personality but is low key like a singer in his own right because he doesn't mind being one of those people to be in a function singing Whitney Houston because that's his favorite singer. First of all, shout out Brandon Hardy, okay, love him. But he pulled up and I was like, hop on. And he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. So he sang on that, and it was just one of those vibes, and it was literally on a Thursday night, which is why I called it Thursday Night Waves. Okay. And I love that you love that song because, like I said, I feel like energy is everything, and I feel like a lot of people love that song because they felt the organic and real energy that was, that went into that song and how that song came about. Like, there are just some things, and Loco and I talk about this all the time, like when you're in sessions, sometimes like it's recommended that you finish a song that you start while you're in a session because sometimes you're just never able to recreate that vibe.
Yeah. That's 100% true.
So you leave a song unfinished, you're like, oh, I'll come back to it. You come back to the song and you try to record or re-record whatever you recorded, and it's not hitting right because it's not about what you're saying. It's not even about how you're delivering it. It's about the energy that was created in that moment. A lot of songs are moments. Yeah. A lot of songs create moments. And so when you kind of look at it as something like that, especially from an art perspective, you learn to just let it be what it be and just create as much as you possibly can in that moment.
Agreed on that one. Yeah.
And I think the last one you said, Still Praying. Still Praying is probably one of my favorite songs to date from a writing perspective and even performing perspective because I wrote that entire outro with the premise of it being about the whole concept of me understanding what it meant to pray or what it meant to be a believer, right? Yeah. And at that point in time in my life, I was someone that was getting into understanding what my relationship with God was, and that it's mine. And I don't really talk too much about it, but I'm truly a believer that, like, if you are going to be spiritual in whatever way, you do it in a way that works for you. You shouldn't let people force things upon you or force ways that you see and feel your spirituality upon you. But Still Praying overall, I was kind of sending the message that it's not enough to pray for the things that you have, for the things that you want, right? Because once you get them, if you stop praying, it's a bad look. It's kind of a bad look. Like, you're not even saying thank you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, I pray I get this job. I pray I get this house. I pray I get this life. I pray I get all these different things. And then once it comes, you stop praying. People forget that once you get those things, you have to maintain those things, right? And so what you should do, in my opinion, I said blessings come, I'm still praying, is that you pray for the blessings, and then you should continue to pray to keep it, to maintain it, and to just say thank you. You know what I mean? I think that song overall, in the middle of the song, I have 2 verses. In the middle of the song, I threw in a clip of James Baldwin.
That's what it was.
Yeah. I threw in a clip of James Baldwin doing a speech or an interview. I can't remember right now. But, you know, it resonated with me. That particular clip resonated with me because he was talking about how he would tell his mother that I'm going to be a firefighter, I'm going to be this, I'm going to I'm going to do this. And James Baldwin said that his mom says, it's more than a notion. And that's literally, you know, that's kind of the energy that my mom has. My mom has always been someone to say, whatever you dream or whatever you believe, you can achieve. If you can dream it, you can achieve, you know, all those different things. Yeah. But she would also say she has a few different idioms that I live by, really. But one of the ones that, you know, are probably most relevant to my life right now, or have been to my life overall, is that you do what you have to do what you want to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? The responsibilities come first. The important things come first, because you can't just willy-nilly. You know, once you handle what you need to handle, the willy-nilly becomes much more enjoyable because the responsibilities are taken care of. I'm saying all that to say is that, like, you can say you want to be this, you can say you want to do this, you can say all of these things. You can manifest. I'm huge on manifesting. But I'm also very staunch on putting the work in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm going to do something or I'm going to be something if I'm not putting the work in, if I know that I'm not putting the work in. Like, I think that's, to me, like, and there's nothing wrong with being delusional with your beliefs, right? But I think there's a certain level of conviction and belief you have in yourself when you say you're going to do something, you're going to be something, and you're actively putting work in to make it happen. Because nothing just happens. You know, on the off chance you have a miracle, cool, great. But in some way, shape, or form, if somebody went viral, for example, right? That person took the time to make the video that made them viral. That person took the time to put the work in to make the song that made them viral. You know, everything has a root cause, and whether you want to call that root cause work or luck is completely up to you. But at the end of the day, every action has a reaction.
As you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, when you were first young, 6 years old, you started singing in front of a live performance. And honestly, I was looking back into your page and I saw where you were performing from Tokyo, from having a whole group with you, which I actually knew one of the backup singers, Charlie Longwolf. And that was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, I never seen it. Yo, she's hard. As well, where you was at an event and the crowd was saying one more, and you told the DJs, like, yo, just let me have one more, and the whole crowd was speaking for you. How does it feel to touch the stage when you're up there?
Being on stage is one of my favorite things to do. It's one of the best feelings to have an experience, at least for me as an artist, right? Because I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. I've been on a stage since I was 3 years old. Like, none of this is new to me. Spotlight is not new to me. You know, stages aren't new to me. Microphones aren't new to me. Like, I've been doing this since young, you know. Being on stage and performing my music is a little bit different than being on stage and dancing, right? But being on stage and performing my music it gives me a rush because there's so much vulnerability in it that a lot of people don't necessarily take account of, right? When you get on stage and decide to say, I'm going to perform something that you've never heard before, I wrote it and these are my words and I hope that you like it, and how I decide to perform it, there's a lot that can cause an insane amount of anxiety in that moment. Right? Because, you know, you get on stage and you can get booed off at any moment. You can get on stage and nobody reacts to you, and that has happened. At the end of the day, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe in what it is you're putting out there. And performing overall is just one of the ways that I feel like I'm able to connect with people. I'm very much aware of my personality and my ability to connect with people through conversation, through just, sharing energy and being welcoming. But when I'm on stage and I'm Lady Bree on stage, I'm still me. I'm still, the girl that you can chill with and have real conversations with. But when I'm Lady Bree and I'm on stage and I'm doing my thing and the mic is hot and the performance tracks are on, I'm very much in my element. I'm very much confident in myself, and I'm very much trying to give you an experience. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about, being cool. Like, I'm gonna be cool regardless. Like, that's just who I am. I was gonna do that anyway. But it's about giving people an experience and making people feel like they got something out of it.
I 100% agree, because also when I was going back to it, I saw that you was talking about how was it hard to be a female artist in the hip-hop game in Japan. I mean, not Japan, Tokyo. And as well, just sharing your insights and being able to share exactly and make people relate to it, which was really good. How was your experience out there in Tokyo?
I love Tokyo so much. It became a second home to me. I haven't been there since 2019, which hurts my soul. I'm trying to get out there. I literally went the summer before COVID, right? And I was supposed to go back that following summer, but of course, COVID. And of course, just life takes over, and then responsibilities and, all that other stuff. But I'm going to be back soon. Shout out to the homies in Tokyo. But being in Tokyo was really eye-opening for me in a lot of different ways, in that when I was out in Tokyo, I was in a study abroad program, but it wasn't like your typical study abroad program where you're there with a whole group of students that came from your school. It was myself and another student that went to Tokyo with me. And, we were cool. Like, that's the homie to this day. But, like, we were doing our own things in the city. Tokyo is a huge city. It's a mega city. You think New York is big? There's, like, a Times Square in every part of Tokyo.
Yeah.
Like, it's really like that. So many different parts of Tokyo that you can hit up. I didn't even get to see all of Tokyo. I was there for 5-6 months. I didn't get to see all of Tokyo. Okay? Being out there was just, like, so eye-opening because it was a completely different culture. There was so much to explore. It was something that made me recognize that the world is much, much bigger than anything I had experienced up to that point. Being from New York City, it's easy to be like, oh, we're the best city in the world. Who doesn't, New York, or what else? Like, what else is bigger than New York? What's more important than New York? Right? We kind of have that energy, and we're raised with that energy because, quite frankly, what's better than New York? Like, who's not? You know what I mean? It's just like how we're brought up. But I realized being in Tokyo and seeing the different things that I saw and just being outside. Like, when I say I was outside in Tokyo, okay? Like, the way the trains work in Tokyo, I was explaining this to somebody. The way the trains work in Tokyo, if you decide to go out at night, you're making a decision at around 11:30 as to whether you're going to stay out the entire night or if you're going to go home, because the trains in Tokyo stop running at like 12:30.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And they don't start running again until 5.
Wow. So you did it outside. Okay.
So when I say I was outside, there were nights I was just like, I guess I'm not going home tonight. and you don't get home, and you don't get on the train till 5 something in the morning. Depending on where you are, you may not get back to where where you at till like 6:37.
That's crazy.
But those were some great nights with some great people and some great vibes. And, I can say that I was nothing but shown love and was welcomed in Tokyo. Like, I would say that, the amount of people I connected with, the amount of people that genuinely just rocked with me, supported me, found out that I did music and was like, yo, you're dope, and just like gave me opportunity and gave me space and made introductions. Like, that's something that doesn't typically happen in the States when it comes to bigger cities. Like, places like New York and LA, like, you can get lucky and get into, dynamics like that. But, you know how we are. Yeah. You know how we are.
And as you mentioned, when you, like you say, you touched the mic and everything, and you turned into Lady Bree. How did you get the name Lady Bree, and who is Lady Bree to you?
Absolutely. So the name Lady Bree came from my grandmother.
Okay.
Grandma Birdie. She passed away when I was 5, but she gave me that nickname as I was growing up. And when she passed, like, it was so crazy because she passed around a time when I kind of started rapping. Like, she passed when I was 5. I started rapping for real when I was like 6, 7. You know what I mean? So it was recent. And I was like, Lady Bree, just make it a little different, throw the I in, and then make it all one word. So it's LADIBREE. For those who are confused and don't understand why I do it the way I do it. But it's Lady Bree with an I, 2 E's. And I've been rocking with it ever since. Like, there are some people that strictly call me by Lady Bree. Yeah. Just because. From high school, from college, whatever. And Lady Bree today is someone with purpose and drive to make great music, make people feel good, feel something, and truly a businesswoman who is looking to put people in position to succeed. Like, I can't shy away from the multiple facets of who I am as a creative, as a business-minded person, boss, entrepreneur, all the things. And genuinely just as a person who cares about people and the world and cares about art. You know what I mean? And talent and passion. Like, I'm somebody who's very, very passionate about what it is that I do and what I put my time into when it comes to my craft. When I notice and see other people match or even, surpass that level of passion and dedication, I can't help but want to help them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's who I am. That's
fire. Thank you, Lady Bree, for being on my podcast. Honestly, I've been waiting to do this for the longest. As I mentioned, I saw you perform when I went to go see VR, and the way the crowd was gravitating to you, you literally pulled everyone up, and everyone was there.
I appreciate it. That's what I look for. That's what I look to do. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not able to do that, you get 7 seconds, bro. Yeah. Like it's a rule me and my aunt came up with. Like, you got 7 seconds. If you don't get them in 7 seconds, you climbing up a hill through the rest of that performance, man. You know? Set the tone.
Is there anyone you would like to shout out or anything like that?
Absolutely. Shout out to my mom. All right. Shout out my mom. Shout out my dad. Shout out my stepdad. Shout out to the family. Shout out to MLM, Mike Loco, Mix 718, the whole squad. You know the vibes. Big shout out to the homies Fog Mob, Lennox Montrose, Hottie Hot. Big shout out to the homie Marvin, got me looking right with all the videos. You know, I'm gonna make a post one day just so y'all could tap into everybody I work with, because they some real ones, you know what I mean? And I want y'all to see that just as much as I do, because they deserve it. And just big shout out to y'all, for real. Shout out to y'all for having me, and shout out to everybody who's supporting me or has been supporting me, because all I can do is give y'all something to believe in, you know?
That's fair. And where can we find you on Instagram, YouTube, Apple
Music? Yeah. If we're talking socials, my names across the board are The Real Lady Bree. So that's THE, real, that's the, and then real, REAL, and then Lady Bree, LADIBREE. Type that in anywhere, you will find me, or you can just type in Lady Bree. It'll be there. If you Google Lady Bree, you'll find me once again. On DSPs, I'm on everything from Spotify to Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, whatever you got, I'm there. MySpace, Tumblr, hey man. Listen, we bringing it all back, okay? It's that time. Resurgence. But I'm on every DSP, and on YouTube, look up Lady Bree. It's not that hard. I've made it easy for y'all, I promise. We've done a lot of work to make it easy for y'all, so no excuses.
Once again, thank you, Lady Bree, for being on the podcast. Thank you, everyone, for watching the channel with Ann. This is the interview with Lady Bree. Stay tuned. We're about to do her live performance, too.